Good morning, sorcerers. Welcome in. Thanks for stopping by. Today, we've got a little story to tell, and the story is about one of my favorite cards ever, Squeakers. So ever since I opened up my first box of Arthurian Legends, I've been sort of enchanted by these little pigs that run around the forest, and they're just adorable as I look at them on the screen. And we're going to be looking at them on the screen together here shortly because I've built two decks. One is sort of a fairy tale storybook, and it's sort of a journey that mimics maybe a Babe movie. And if you haven't seen Babe, well, it's about a pig who escapes being slaughtered and eaten to kind of find a kindly old farmer who allows the pig to thrive and then becomes sort of a sheepdog, so to speak, and just kind of befriends the animals at the farm. It's super kind of tug at the heartstrings kind of film. Um, and this is going to be pretty similar, but a more sort of fantasy vibe to the whole thing. Something that you'd see in like a Grimm's fairy tale mixed with like a never ending story or something like that. So I'm really excited to share that one. But at the second half, or the last part at least, I don't know if it'll be a full half, we're going to go over my upgrade when Babe becomes sort of like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome and starts to wear spiked helmets and has a bat that he beats people to death with. This will be the upgraded deck. It won't necessarily be a hyper competitive list. I don't know if you can make Squeakers the theme into a hyper competitive deck, but I've certainly tried. And so this is my sort of attempt at that. But first, before we kind of jump into those two decks, I just quickly want to talk with you all about some maybe more esoteric kind of stuff. If you'll just uh, bear with me for a second, because it leads directly into the idea of like why sorcery is really cool, why I'm really enjoying building decks in sorcery, why sorcery lends itself to creativity much more than say some other uh, card games right now in the market. And we won't spend a lot of time talking, if at all, about any of those other card games for this video, but as just a piece of comparison, uh, let's say Magic, for instance, is really kind of started to stifle creativity in a way that I think sorcery, especially right now in this moment with sorcery, is just it's rife with possibility for deck builders. And so I encourage everybody to start kind of thinking outside the box, because what we are basically left with sorcery right now is this giant pile of Legos, disparate parts, all kinds of crazy colors. We have no idea what we can do with this. We have a pile of, three sets plus a small mini set, and within that is just a realm of possibility, and that's super exciting. And not only that, but many of the cards don't really tell you what to do. For instance, if you are a Magic player, you have noticed a trend over the past 10 to, I'd say 10 years probably, in which Magic cards have been very specific about, like, especially with Commander being the central focus, they kind of just tell the person how to build the deck, whether or not that's a certain tribe that they fully supported now. Whereas, like, 15 years ago when I built a cat deck, it was kind of difficult to piece it together, and I had to use a lot more lateral thinking, which is something that I appreciate just in life, having the ability to think of outside the box sort of ideas, because you don't have all the parts that you need. When I was a young man, my dad would take me out to the golf course with only three clubs, and most people were walking around with a full bag of clubs. So you'd have every range of clubs that you could possibly need for every single situation. But his lesson always stuck with me, in that he's like, if you could learn how to use these three clubs in different ways, you'll be so much better prepared, not just for like a weird golf lie, or some kind of the ball being stuck underneath a branch or something, but you'll be better prepared in life for, like, how do you deal with adversity? How do you overcome something when you don't have the exact tools or things that you need? And it's kind of just like, I don't know if that's where my creativity spawned from. I think mom being a painter, all kinds of other things is why um, I've sort of embraced that role. But with this pile of Legos, I see infinite possibilities, and I think many Magic players, no fault of their own, see only the most optimal possibility, and they turn this pile into this. Oh, this. Right? It's like, what is it? It's a Millennium Falcon. No shade to Universes Beyond or anything like that, but it's like the commander format in Magic is sort of solved. It's like we know what the best things are to put in every deck, and so therefore the creativity is kind of drained away. And even for theme decks, like I used to have a rock and roll theme deck in Magic, where I had to use a bunch of weird, disparate parts to try and tell this story, stuff that wasn't handed to me, um, but was super fun to like create and to build something like that. Now there's so many Magic cards that are just like it's literal heavy metal theme cards. Let's look it up if you're not familiar, and then we'll get off of Magic here in a second. But I think this is just hilarious. We have literal Iron Maiden Magic cards. So if people were to see my heavy metal deck, they might ask, why don't you have the Iron Maiden cards in there? And I'd be like, because I don't suck. That's why. Sorry to be. I just hate having stuff like that handed to me. It was the same with cats. Magic adopted cats, and then all of a sudden they built all the most impressive, most powerful cats in the world. And now, if you build a cat deck, it's as easy as like tripping over your own feet. You could literally fall into a good cat deck. Whereas I feel like there was, back in my day, there required effort. So, old man rant gone. I want to share with you a piece of beauty instead. So, first, we're going to go ahead and talk about what I'd rather do with my Lego collection in this metaphor is build something that has a little bit of structure, but is totally bizarre. Let's look at this thing. I also got this when I was a kid. This is an old classic Lego space set. And I remember opening this up on Christmas morning and having a blast. And if you look at this thing, it's one of the weirdest Lego sets I think I've ever seen. The creature has like weird jets for legs. It has insane sort of like chomper claw things on the side that you can put, I don't know, Lego people in. It has windows that flip around, which doesn't make any sense for like being in space. Like, why would you have just glass that just sort of like opens up and just absorbs absorbs all of like the vacuum of space into the cockpit, so to speak. It's so weird. But I preferred this version of Lego, and I feel like sorcery is in this world right now. This was before Lego sort of became the universes beyond of brick building, where everything was kind of like you can build the Hogwarts train exactly as it exists, rather than allowing kids who like that kind of thing to build a Hogwarts train out of like trash. And then I think engaging more lateral thinking, engaging all kinds of like uh, creative sections of their brain that they don't get to use when it's just pre-planned and kind of pre-packaged, and you're told exactly how to do this very specific thing. Sorcery does not do that for us. So all of the preambles aside, you can agree or disagree with that stuff in the comments. I'm up for lively debate. I don't know if there's a lot to disagree with, but I'm sorry if you were not interested in that little diatribe. But I'm a counselor. I worry about the human brain a lot. So, it's a little bit of what you get when you come here to Rule Zero. But you're here for deck building. So let's talk about some enchanting deck building. This is what I'm calling whole hog, and that I'm embracing Squeakers. I'm going all in on Squeakers. I'm going all in on like building a little story to go with Squeakers. And so because I have a variant of the deck built right now, but normally I like to show the physical cards, but there's some cards I have on order that I haven't gotten yet. And I just need to keep moving because I've got some boxes coming in and other stuff. So we're just going to do the online version. I've increased the size. Hopefully now that my face is up in the top left corner of the screen, you'll be able to see the cards as we go over them. This is a seer deck. And so seer, if you can see it on the side here, says tap, player draws sight. At the start of your turn, look at your next sight or spell. You may put it on the bottom of its deck. And the thing is, with Squeakers, as you can see here, they have a death rate ability. Reveal your next 5 spells, then summon all pigs of the sounder, which is like the Pokemon upgrade of a Squeaker, into a bigger pig. Put the rest on the bottom in a random order. So Seer allows you every single turn to kind of dig one further into your deck. If you pull the top card of the deck off and you don't see Pigs of the Sounder and you have a Squeaker on the board, well, you can put that card on the bottom. If that card's not very good, or if it doesn't get you like further into your deck. And so Seer allows you to sort of like implement the Squeaker plan more readily. So the story of this deck is to imagine that there is a bunch of wonderful little pigs. It's springtime. It's a time of flourishing. And in Sir Bedivere's keep, Sir Bedivere is the lord of this particular land, and he's going to have this great festival. And so we show that with our Harvest Festival card here, where we get to summon townsfolk from all across the land, in this case out of our collection, and we bring them here with promise of parties and gifts and also food. And who creates a lot of the food? None other than one of the most infamous sorcery cards, Pudge Butcher, and also Sir Bedivere himself. Sir Bedivere gets card draw if he carries an artifact, and we just so happen to have, even despite his like sort of passive, docile demeanor, we have an artifact for him to carry. He gets in on that meat hook action himself as well. And so the pigs escape out into the forest. They eat away the fence posts. They break out. And on the way, I've designed this deck specifically so that all the pigs in this deck, there's a lot of them, but all the pigs in this deck are the only real multiples of minions or creatures that you'll see. And because the idea is that the pigs go on this sort of enchanted journey into a forest, through the ponds, through the fields, and then they find different sort of animal friends, sort of like you would in a Finding Nemo or a Babe or any other kind of movie where there's a little lost animal out in the woods that gets to befriend other animals. And so all kinds of animals are met. We have a singular brown bears. We have a leprechaun in the forest. We have this horrible little creature. So in the vein of Never Ending Story, I'm all about making some fairy tales a little bit darker, or Grimm's fairy tales. So there's going to be some darkness here that the little pigs have to face. Maybe they meet this friendly land surveyor. They cause some havoc. They run underneath his horse's hooves. So we've got plenty of little pigs. We've got muddy pigs. We've got squeakers. We've got wild boars. Other creatures they might run across in the forest. An accursed albatross. I think sometimes with the bird, I think in Finding Nemo that they require to like send Nemo up to a fishbowl. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but like sort of the seagulls. So this is kind of my homage to that. We've got autumn unicorn. We've got this Brobdingnag bullfrog that the squeakers can run into. And as you're kind of listening to this, I hope that you're like trying to put on that child's visor, because my idea with this deck is like, if you have kids, young kids, or you want to introduce sorcery to one of them, this is a good deck to do that. It's very cheap to put together. It's got super cute animals inside of it, and it tells a story, and it allows space for that imagination, sort of like this giant pile of Legos. Kids will see all these disparate parts, and even adults with good creativity will see all these disparate parts, and they'll just sort of like start connecting all of the pieces themselves in whatever way they see fit, rather than being told what the connections are. So I'm just presenting just like sorcery does really well, it presents you with pieces without any sort of backstory. Like there's no backstory to wild boars. There's some flavor text, but there's no like, these are the wild boars of Sunderland, and in Sunderland, wild boars are known for their ornery demeanors. Like you can just make up all the stuff about sorcery that you want to, which is kind of what I really was referencing earlier about why I love the cards. They allow for creativity. They're just like random disparate Lego blocks that you can kind of put together. So we've got gnarled Wendigo, again another horrible sort of Grimm's fairy tale creature that comes in. We've got our Lugbog cat, which I love, like a swamp cat, just kind of like being sort of that Cheshire element in the Squeaker's journey of like you don't know if you can trust it or not. You'll notice that these are all beast too, and there's an important reason for that, because remember when theme decks come, they have form and function, and we need to have the Venn diagram of both intersecting, and that's where them all being beasts and the Squeakers like sort of ability to create more Squeakers, that's where that we have some synergies in the deck that make it fun to play, so it's not just completely random, but it tells a story. So we've got our root spiders, snails. I tried to get every single kind of weird creature that a Squeaker might meet in a forest into this deck. And then we have our final form, our Pokemon, our Squeakers. Hopefully they get to grand old boar status, but it's quite possible that you could just cast this off the top of your deck as well. And they have charge if you have dead Squeakers, which I hope you don't, but you probably will. So the old farmer from Babe that these particular pigs meet in the forest, it's not Sir Bedivere because they're running away from him. They meet instead Sir Yvain, who just honestly, Vincent Pompetti, just stellar work, because there's something enchanting but also bizarre. Like this Sir Yvain looks nuts, or it looks like he's had an accident, and he has like fruity pebbles on his helmet, or maybe those are gemstones. I don't really know. There's lions, there's fighting with like dinosaurs, there's some random person lost behind his right shoulder that I don't know what's going on. He's on a hallucinogenic journey. That's all I can imagine. But his ability is Genesis choose an allied beast. So Sir Yvain can befriend a Squeaker. He can make the Squeaker more powerful, let it live up to its full potential, and he will also gain power. And it's sort of the bonding friendship that we have right here from Babe. You know, they both make each other better. Oh, super cute. But so in the spells department, stuff that we're going to help our Squeakers with. Not only are we going to give them more animal companions with Gift of the Frog, we're going to give them little frog buddies. Maybe we have a Gift of the Wolf. They run into a wolf and they're given like more bravery, more power. We want the deck to sort of run and hum. So all these cards draw cards, right? They kind of like allow you to just dig through your deck, find more Squeakers, get to those Squeakers. We have land masses to expand to make it pretty functional. And one of the key cards, even in this beginner version, is Feign Death. This is one of the reasons I have water as the other element with the Squeakers. Trigger an allied minion's Deathrite ability. It gains stealth, draw a spell. So Squeakers have Deathrite, so do Pigs of the Sounder, and that allows you to trigger that without killing these guys. You don't want dead Squeakers in this fairy tale storybook. So this not only, it gives the Squeaker stealth, which is fantastic, it triggers their 5-card look at the top ability, and it draws you a spell even if that doesn't like happen. So it kind of replaces itself. I mean, Feign Death is, if I could play 10 of these cards, then we'd be in the business for like maybe some competitive action, but you can only run 3. It's an exceptional. And then we have assorted animals. It's just a thing, an homage to like all the little creatures in the forest that we're talking about here. So this is my Squeaker fairy tale deck. Oh, another card that's amazing, Sylvan Splendor. If you run a beast deck, this is one of those synergies that you can't pass by. An elite aura. Whenever you cast a beast or a fairy to an affected site, draw a spell. Dispel an affected site if it's attacked, or dispel if an affected site is successfully attacked. So you have to like kind of put it maybe on your closer to your avatar, put it somewhere safe. but drawing a spell every time you cast a Squeaker or a Pig or whatever is just pretty solid. So this is a really awesome card to include in the deck. So if you're okay with that one, we're going to go ahead and shift tone a little bit as this video grows a little bit long in the tooth. But I hope that you enjoyed my sort of thematic whole hog deck. I'm really proud of it. I think it would play really fun for any kid or adult with like who's just feeling nostalgic for those kind of kid movies. Or just loves animals. You know, I'm a full-grown adult and I love animals. I could play this deck and just feel the whimsy of it, and I think that comes through. But now we're moving beyond whimsy. We're moving to a different place, to a place to me that is signified by 1987 or 88's Willow. I can't remember exactly when it came out, with Queen Babmorda yelling, "You're all pigs," as this horrible sorceress, if you haven't seen her, turns the entire army that's against her into just pigs for a little bit. They get out of it, but yeah, it's one of my favorite scenes when I remember growing up as a kid. So we've created pigs. You're all pigs, because I just love her line delivery. And this is a more seasoned version of the Squeaker deck. This is Squeaker 2 Electric Boogaloo. Still earth and water, because I think the synergies of Sylvan Splendor. So there's multiple synergies why I chose water, and there's only 3 cards that are very specific. One, Sylvan Splendor. We already talked about it. Next, we're going to also talk about Feign Death. I mean, we covered why Feign Death is fantastic in a Squeakers deck if you're trying to make Squeakers work in particular. Next is another card I really like, Symmetric Suffering. So in Squeaker decks, if you don't want to like trigger their thing with Feign Death, or you can't, you could sacrifice up to 1 minion, artifact, or aura, and then your opponent must sacrifice the same. So in this deck, I have artifacts, I have auras, and I have minions. And some of those, and many of those, you don't mind getting rid of in this deck, whereas your opponent probably will mind getting rid of their really good cards. So 2 Symmetric Sufferings is all we can play because it's an elite spell, but I think it's really good, and it takes advantage of all the death rate abilities that are going to be in this deck, which I really enjoy. So let's go over what the differences are. Main difference, I guess, off the top, is that we have Sorcerer. Seer was in the other deck, and in play testing it over the past week with just my more fairy tale version, it's fun. It's fine. I don't think it's good enough for a more competitive version. I think you need to have places where you can draw more spells and give yourself more action. I think that's much better than being able to like look at the top, put it on the bottom. So we've changed the avatar. Next, you'll see there's Atlantean Fate in here. So we're going to play 14 ordinary sites in this deck, which is not a ton. And it does leave many of your sites susceptible to Atlantean Fate, which floods all non-ordinary sites. But I think you have enough that you can survive, and the hope is that your opponents will not be prepared, or they won't be playing a ton of ordinary sites. And if not, it's just 1 card in the deck. You don't have to play it. So we also run cores. There's a lot of heavier mana costs, 2 and 3 threshold costs for both earth and water. So we both run Onyx Core for earth and the Aquamarine Core for water. We run a couple search spells. We've got a toolbox, and we'll go over that in a minute. But we've got a collection, so we can both get a couple exceptional cards or common cards with our toolbox. We've got a way to sacrifice these pigs and activate these death rate abilities and gain life. Hemo Goblet, 3 mana, an elite relic. Once on your turn, you may fill the goblet by sacrificing a minion here, or empty it if it's full. When you empty the goblet, you gain mana or heal life equal to that minion's power. So pretty cool. I mean, it's a little slow, but fits the theme of the deck. I'm down with it. We've got Algor Omphalos, Earth and Water Spellcaster. This just allows you to pull at the end of your turn. Envelopes draws a spell which only it can cast, so it just gives you more card advantage. Minions it casts must be summoned here, which is fine, wherever you put it. We have Clay Golems, which is some of those artifacts that we could sacrifice to the Symmetrical Suffering. It is a artifact card, as you can see on the list here. So not only is it a creature, you know, but sorry, I was thinking of a Hair Club for Men joke, and I won't make that. That's a really old reference for you people who are not 40 and above. Then we've got Pallid Bust, which is interesting. I think of it almost as like Graveyard Hate in this deck. Yes, it's very slow, but being able to like banish any dead minion and then become that minion, so to speak, or having its abilities could be extremely powerful depending on which one you banish. And it's only cost 4, it has no threshold to it, so it's a pretty interesting spell. I could take it or leave it. So the creatures we have, we're focusing again on beasts because Pond, which we didn't go over last time, is like one of the key cards that makes Beast fantastic. Pond, Genesis. This turn, the next beast cast to this site costs 1 less, ignoring threshold. So any issues you might be having with like, oh, I only have 1 earth threshold and 1 water, but this thing requires 2, this allows you to ignore that cost when you cast some of your bigger beasts early in the game, and it reduces their cost. So when you see these beasts, imagine the casting costs are all like down to 0 or 1 or 2 rather than 1, 2, 3, or 4. So we've got Lugbog Cat, great for the rate. It's 4 power. It has to be cast to a water site, which is perfect for Pond, which is great. If you cast it on a pond, the turn the pond comes in, it costs 2. 2 for a 4 power minion is incredible. We've got Pigs of the Sounder, which is the level up on Squeakers. We've got Root Spiders, like incredible beast, just burrowing themselves under all of the Dominion and just keeping things locked down. You can keep multiple minions locked down for your opponents with this thing. We've got 1 singular Squirming Mass. This is a very powerful spell, and we do want things to die, so there's a good chance that the Squirming Mass will kind of collectively gain all of the Squeakers' power, which is kind of funny to me. We've got Gargantula. It's like a must-run card. I actually don't own any of these, so it's something I'm hoping I pull in some boxes in the future, or I can just order online. Gargantula may drag an adjacent minion here, disabling it in a cocoon until unit at its location taps to free it. Very powerful spell. Just take the biggest minion off the playing field until they can send somebody to save it. And they still have to deal with a 4 power spider to do that. So we have Sacred Stag, warded minions, a warded 4 power minion that costs you maybe 3 mana if you cast it on a pond. Pretty incredible. And if you're using a core like right away, like you can cast this thing on turn 2. Like if you go turn 1 core and then turn 2 put like a pond out, you're in business. I mean, that's an incredible start, and it's not impossible in this deck at all. We have another copy card, which is interesting. It's like if you want to go with the more thematic route, you can go Squeakerville with this thing and copy some pigs, or you can just copy a basic copy of any nearby minion, including theirs, if they had like a Lord of Lies or something, say. Wolpertinger is just too hilarious not to put in. It has +1 power for each of your dead beasts. There are many beasts in this deck. So this thing's going to give above 10 power often by the time the late game comes around, and that's pretty strong for only 4 or 3 mana or however much you put into it. Grand Old Boar, can't sniff at it. 5 mana, has charge, really strong, just a beefy, dumb dude. But look at him screaming into the night. Don't mess with him. Then we've got Questing Beast, a hilarious amalgam of creature types, creature parts. Has lethal, and it's stealth. And at the end of your turn, Questing Beast may take a step. So it just moves all over the place. It's a good finisher card. You don't want to mess with it. It's Scorpion Tail there. I put Sir Urane in because he's too wild not to. I don't know if he's great, but we're going with the beast theme, so I wanted to keep a little bit of that flavor. And even this deck, which is a little bit more competitive. And we've got 3 Gnarled Wendigo instead of just 1, because again, if you're putting out little critters, and we have like frog creation in this deck still, and we also have like some villagers and stuff that we can create. So there's still things we can sacrifice, um, or foot soldier tokens we can sacrifice to pump Gnarlwind to go out very cheaply or for free, and it allows us to trigger Deathrite abilities if we really want to do that. So we have one assorted animals. I feel like this card is so expensive, and you have to get combined mana cost. You have to search for different beasts. So even though we have a lot of beasts, searching for different beasts, this card's gonna be really expensive. So I don't want to draw more than one of these really. Um, but Gift of the Frog, I don't mind drawing as many as possible. They give you great defenders. They allow you to sacrifice things to the Gnarled Wendigos, etc., or the Cauldrons, or whatever you want to sacrifice to. And they draw. They replace themselves cheaply. So Return to Nature Hab is like dual Graveyard Hate, or if you want to like replace, put your kind of minions back into your deck, you can return up to 3 cards from a cemetery to the bottom of their decks. So I'm pretty certain that is not able to be split. Tell me in the comments below if it is, and then it replaces itself. I'm all about cards that replace themselves. We have Bury for the most troublesome. You only have 2 in the deck, so you want to save those. We have Feign Death again to trigger. We have a couple Harvest Festivals. We've removed one because we have more options in our collection that we need to get to with our Silver Bullet and Toolbox. Invigorate is just a powerful spell, and it heals you 3. We've taken the Muddy Pigs, I think, out of this build. Yeah, we've taken the Muddy Pigs out of this build, so I wanted to have some life gain in here. Kiss of Judas, powerful card. It's on the fence whether or not it should be in here, but I like the idea of having some kind of spell that allows you to get through and do the final blow. So this will allow attacks against target avatar can't be defended. So this could be the way that you take somebody out after they're on death's door. Excuse me. And we've got Symmetric Suffering, which is a card I really love, and Gigantism. Sometimes you just need to make a pig into a 7-power pig. 7-power Peppa Pig. I don't know. Whatever. Just take things out. We've changed our mana base a little bit. You'll notice that I'm not running a lot of the double mana lands. In part, that's because Pond removes Threshold, and really you want to start this game with a Pond in your hand. And you have like, I want to say if you go to you mulligan, I think you have anywhere from like a 25 to 40% or 45% chance to have one in your opening hand. It's not like stellar, but it's pretty good. And so you really want to aim for having a Pond in your hand. I ran the numbers on a hypergeometric calculator, but I can't remember exactly. So if you know those numbers below, what is the chance to pull one of your 4 Ponds out of your 30 card atlas? Let me know. Then we have Autumn Rivers. We don't have Seer in this deck, but we're going to try and emulate Seer by having Scry ability. We're going to have 3 or 6 different rivers in the deck, and these don't get affected by Atlantean Fate, which is why I have plenty of ordinary sites. We have Haystack just to prevent searching. We have Humble Village because it's such a powerful site to create little minions that we can sacrifice, or we can just attack with these little 1/1s. Kingdom of Agartha. I'm not unsure, right? But the idea of having all my minions with burrowing seems so powerful that just being able to give that to like grand old boars or whatever seems really good. So yeah, unsure. Mount Usar Sanctuary is just a safety net. In more competitive decks, I imagine this site sees a lot more play. When your avatar arrives at death's door, they flee here and they gain ward as long as you have 4 Earth Threshold, which we should in this deck. So we've got Ponds, a key to the deck, more Rustic Villages. Saintwald, I love this card. I know that it doesn't produce a Threshold, and so that's a downfall for sure. But we have so much Deathrite in this deck, turning all Deathrite's abilities into Genesis abilities. Like if I started with a Pond, an Aqueduct, and this thing, I'm golden. Like that is like, for me, one of the most amazing starts I can have. It's going to allow me to cast all my beasts super early, and not only that, it's going to allow me to get tons of like Genesis abilities off of these like Squeakers and stuff. I could be like roaring in with giant pigs in no time with a good start. So it's fun to have it for just the chance of going off. Sinkhole, There's a lot of problematic sites in Sorcery, so you got to take care of them. We have our spring rivers. We have a tadpole pool. I said we can make some frogs. We can make some frogs. So I like having these frogs here. Um, Thin ice. I like having some defensive measures, but I didn't put the full 3 in the deck. That could be a mistake, but I'm trying to keep a lot of the ordinary sites in here to protect us from Atlantean Fate, which could be a mistake on my part, right? I'm trying to protect against this one singular card I run, but opponents can run it too. So, yeah. Anyways, I think 2 thin ice. We only really want like 1, basically, like in a very specific location is the hopeful ideal in a real game. So then we have 2 varmint warrens. Pretty solid safety site. It's an earth site. Might as well use it. Beast here can't be targeted by enemies. So that means like none of our stuff basically, except for Sir Yvain, and that's about it. And then we have 1 graveyard protection. The reason is we do have a couple cards that feed in on our graveyard, like Return to Nature and Grand Old Boar Cares of Squeakers are in the graveyard, because if it sees those, it has charge, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. We have the Pallid Bust as well that can kind of resurrect something, so to speak. So then in our collection, I'm a little iffy on this one. I don't play competitively yet, so if you competitive players like kind of see things you would change, please let me know in the comments. I'm so open to it. I love hearing from veterans. Divine Healing. There's less healing in this deck, so I thought let me have something for the Silver Bullet to fetch. We only have 2 of the Townsfolk. I really love that card because it puts 4 power on the board for just 2 mana, which seems really good, but maybe I'm wrong on that front. I think it's 2 mana, right? Harvest Festival? No, it's 3. Sorry. Okay, so maybe it's not that good. Maybe it can be taken out and replaced with some stuff. What would you replace it with? But we've got ordinary magics that are useful. Dispel if we can get rid of artifacts, Ring of Morgans, whatever. Unravel, get rid of powerful undead minions. Bury, just to have another way to take out a really powerful thing. Swap, I think in like certain games, this card is like maybe one of the best cards ever. Like I've had such good experiences with using swap to end games, to put people in like horrible positions. With their biggest creature or their most vulnerable creatures sometimes, like if they have, like a Lilith or something, well, you're going to have to take care of that. This is a good way to kind of like put it in the worst possible space on the board. And Smite as like an ending spell. This allows you to strike an adjacent enemy, a target adjacent enemy, so they can't really block with a ton of skeletons or whatever, as far as I understand. So that is my Pigs, You're All Pigs, More Competitive, Squeakers Electric Boogaloo Part 2 deck. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Coming up, the next video after this will be one of the box openings, either Gothic or Arthurian Legends. Maybe we'll do Arthurian Legends to keep it in theme with the Squeakers here. But I hope that you're having fun brewing in Sorcery. If you have any fun brews, share them in the comments below. I'd love to see them. But until next time, as this has been a quite long video, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate the whole community behind Sorcery. It continues to just feel like a joy. And I just can't wait to meet some of you in person, maybe at Sorcery Con, which I'm planning to go to. Can't get to the Avatar of the Realm thing in Boston. That's just not going to be feasible for me. But in February, I'm going to make a big push, and I think we're going to Sorcery Con up in Pennsylvania. So hope to see you there. We'll talk more about that as it comes. Have a beautiful and blessed week. Yeah, and see you soon.